I don't think I can summarise what he's done.
Do you realise what opportunity you've got here?
This is so amazing that you could be doing this.
If I'm going to be out of this situation, I need to just do everything that I can.
From that point on, I wasn't going to let up on her.
I felt at points that I'd almost staked my reputation on him.
Don't think about what's going to happen if you fail. Think about what's going to happen if you don't.
I think he tries to put up this facade that he's this bold, angry man that doesn't feel emotion.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think he's probably one of the most caring people I've ever met.
Lucy is a very intelligent young lady, and that was abundantly clear, but she was also quite shy and introverted. So my role really within whatever she says I've helped her achieve, it was to get her to come out of herself a little bit.
The taster session that we had took place at Jesus College, and I remember him saying when I was on Tell Street that if I worked hard I could one day live on Tell Street.
I thought we were going to Hogwarts on the Harry Potter trip, so it's just absolute fluke that we managed to get her into Oxford as a result of that.
And then I happened to apply to Lincoln, which is also on Tell Street. So when I moved in, it really hit me that it was like the same street he had brought us to 4 years prior.
I'd love to sit here and say, yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember saying that. I mean, I say a number of wise things, so I'm not going to say that I didn't, but no, I don't remember saying that.
Because that's kind of where my journey started, and it's where I'm continuing it. I think it will always really be significant to me.
And for her to say that teaches me something actually about the position that I'm in and how powerful it can be. But knowing that just the smallest of input that you can have such a big impact on someone's life is very touching, is probably the word.
If I had to describe him in one word, it'd honestly be a friend.
I drew the line, and I'm not going to tell the kids how old I am. Just not really that bothered, but when I started teaching it was like 22, but I'm like a bit older now. I may not look it, so I just lie and say I'm 12.
On my frequent trips to the maths department, I'd often pop in and just say, "Have you got anything interesting for me, Rob?" And he'd just stand up excitedly and wave a piece of paper at me, and he's like, "I found these step questions for you to have a go at."
That was when I was like, this lad's got something special.
I love doing higher level maths than what I was currently at, pushing myself, and so I thought, well, if I'm going to go to uni somewhere to push myself as much as I can, Oxford sounds like the best place to do that.
Callum got his offer at Oxford, and there was a time where he was unsure of whether to take it, and he was like, do I go to this university that he really liked? And he looked around, or do I take the offer at Oxford? Deep down I'm like, you do realise what opportunity you've got here, but without going, take this opportunity, it's going to be great for you. I wanted him to get that out of him, without realising the small group tutorial sessions that I was facilitating for him was getting him ready for studying at a university.
I think that is the reason I was so successful at the time. I don't think I would have been doing as well if it wasn't for all the extra encouragement and extra work he was giving me.
Before the modular exams, I'd email the students like, good luck. And it became a tradition that I would stick some inspirational quote at the end to be like ultra cheesy. So I'd be like, good luck with your exam tomorrow. Just remember.
I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
It's true, and I wouldn't have used it if I didn't believe it.
And you had a lot of the less nerdy people in our class like, oh, that's such a beautiful quote, I wonder who said it. And then you got them walking into class the next day like, it's from Pokemon, really.
It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
Yeah, it works.
It was just year 10. He only taught me for 1 year, but as soon as I got that email, you know, who inspired you to get here? Straight away, it was him.
The thing that made her stand out is she made me work damned hard. If I taught something at the front and Kavita weren't happy with what I'd said, that hand would be straight up. She'd be straight in my face at the end of the lesson saying I didn't understand what that was, why did that work, why is that true? And for a student to keep you on your toes like that makes the job incredibly worthwhile.
You really felt like he was believing in you when you couldn't do it for yourself, and I think that's been really, really important for me, because that's the first time that somebody has said to me, well, don't think about what's going to happen if you fail, think about what's going to happen if you don't.
And it did take a lot of chipping away with Kavita to try and realise that she was great.
When I first got my GCSE results, I thought, there's got to be some kind of mistake here. You know, they must have got me mixed up with somebody else. And then my mum turned around to me and she says, how many Kavita Marleys do you think there are in Norfolk?
The only hurdle I saw was her just making sure she had an interview. I thought as soon as she sat in front of somebody, she was going to Oxford.
And then I got an offer and I thought, that's great, but I'm not going to get my A-level grades. And then I got my A-level grades on results day and I just turned around and I was like, well, now what do I worry about?
I loved that group and I loved teaching them and taking them through, and I had so much time for every single one of them. But never in a million years would I have thought 4 years later I'd be sat here trying to explain why I'm sat here.
She's very fiercely on your side.
She'd come from a school that had some challenges, and then when she came here I think she found it quite overwhelming in some ways.
We all went in and it was quiet and I was thinking, oh my gosh, everyone sat down. And we've just taken the register in 10 seconds.
She loved learning for the sake of learning. It wasn't a means to an end, it wasn't to get to university. For Chloe, it's actually about just enjoying learning.
Yeah, I mean, I would have probably just got a job or something in Darlington. I probably wouldn't have left if they hadn't said no, no, you need to do this.
And at first you could see her kind of frowning and thinking, Oxford? She was like, I don't think so.
It's a very alien concept, and even when I was talking to my nana, she was like, where's Oxford? I haven't heard of that, you know. And then whenever she found out where, she was like, it's a good uni, that, Chloe, you know. It's a good one. So I was like, all right, okay. Miss Arcee was like, I should practice the entrance exams, and we don't have a computer at home, so I was like, oh, I can't really get them. So we printed them out, and then she let me post them to her over the summer.
Then she came to me one day, and she seemed to just be having a wobble, and she did say something like, I'm sure her exact words were something like, it's not the place for people like me. I don't know if this is slightly Glasgow rebel in me that just goes, really? I think actually what you need to do there is just prove them wrong.
She wouldn't have it, she was like, no, Chloe, it's absolutely the place for you, keep trying it, just keep doing the hat test, see how it goes. Don't be daft, get your application in and stop being silly. And then I just kept seeing how it goes, and then eventually it was God, I've got an offer.
I think every teacher, you want to make a difference.
I find it really strange when I'm talking to people and when they're talking about their grandparents having degrees and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh Nana, she can't read or write, and it's hard to get in contact with her because she doesn't know how to use the phone now, and I can't write to her because she can't read it, and it is strange, and I'm thinking I don't know how it happened.
You work hard, you love your subject and you love learning. What else is there? Do you know, that's it.
He had that willingness to get you to the best place possible, and I think it really shows.
In 2010, it was a good school, and the next year we had an academy come in and run it, and it quickly went to special measures.
It really shows then when you have a teacher as inspiring as Mr. Dunstfield.
If you just spend the time with these kids, show them that you're interested in them, their life, what they're interested in, that makes a massive difference.
Literally as soon as you set foot into that block, you were transported into a different world. You didn't feel like you were in a failing school.
So it was threatened with closure. Community saved it. When you have, I think it was nearly 2,000 people signing up a petition to keep the school open, lobbying the government, that's something that maybe we lose in our busy lives back on the mainland.
I applied to uni in year 13 to 5 unis to do film. And it got to the point, I think halfway through year 13, where I thought, this application process is it's too much for me at the moment.
I was a complete nightmare at school and dropped out my A-levels twice. I think I kind of maybe understood a bit there that it's not always the right time to just follow that pressure.
So I made a decision just to reject all my offers straight away and focus that year on my A-levels with a view to just having a break for a year, where I applied to do English at Oxford.
I suppose it's just about empowering them to make those choices, to give them as much information and as much of your experience and knowledge as you can to help them make those difficult choices.
I was adamant when I left home, because I'm quite a homely person, that Oxford would never be home, sort of thing. I was quite adamant that I would never call my room or my college home, but it's starting to feel that way, definitely.
Just keep showing those Oxford dons how to do it. Cheers.
I went to my secondary school, which Miss Hurst taught at, for 5 years, and then I went to a sixth form college. And then I did my mocks in German, and I got a C in my speaking. And so I emailed her, I said, can I have some help, please?
And he would come on a Wednesday afternoon and we'd just blather away in German.
Often about nothing relevant to my topics, but just talk. And, you know, she never asked anything for it.
He asked, I said yes. And that was it.
You know, within 6 months I was getting an A star with flying colours in my speaking.
And I say, you will make mistakes in my room, absolute humdingers possibly at some point, but that can't put you off. If you're going to communicate with someone, you've got to speak first.
And when she heard about Oxford, she was like, yes, definitely.
You came in and you said, oh, I'm doing all my applications. Right, okay. And I'm applying to these places. Wow, that's pretty amazing. It was awe-inspiring for me because when I was in that position, it wouldn't have occurred to me. I was looking to get away from Leicester. This is so amazing that you could be doing this. So we have got to make sure you're in the best possible position to get there.
18 months I was doing that for, and sometimes more than once a week, being head of faculty and head of, I think it was careers at the school as well, and having children, it's a really big effort, which I don't think I can properly repay.
You assume they're just going to go off and leave you anyway, so it's been a bonus that Roman came back into my life as a teacher and I was able to help him again.
Ich danke dir so viel für deine Hilfe. Ich habe keine Worte dafür.
She always goes straight to the, no, I'm just doing my job. But she's really not, like, she works 24/7.
I'm still overwhelmed by the award, to be honest with you, because it's just my job, you know.
By the second year I decided I wanted to do music, and I decided I wanted to go to Oxford as well, because I'm a very all or nothing person.
I thought, okay, let's see what we can do.
I told my parents I want to go to Oxford, and they made faces and went, okay.
I said to her parents, once they meet her, whoever interviews her will think, yeah, we want this person on the course.
I think it's because I'm quite loud.
You know, she broke the mould really, I think, you know. I think your parents would agree with that as well.
Carolyn did a lot of picking me up when I was like, there's no point, I can't do it. But she's really funny because she wouldn't be like, yes you can, she'd be like, shut up, you got this.
She had all of it, the spark, the determination, talent.
But then Carolyn was the one there at the end of the day when I'd kind of come into a funk band after a full day of English and be singing while doing essays. Carolyn was the one that kind of took the brunt of all of that for me.
To help a student get into, you know, one of the top universities in the world, let's face it, is something you feel proud of as a teacher as well, you know. Even though they've done it, you haven't done it, they've done it.
And she's always been really accommodating, for me particularly.
You know, sometimes I can't do everything, but I try.
I just come in with a new instrument. I had a cello over the summer and I'd just come in and be like, can I play the cello on this one?
Yeah, come on, there's a part, I'd make her a nice easy part or something. And just let her go, you know.
Yeah, I'll bring Mr. Jolly up in any conversation I can, to be honest with you. I don't think I can summarise what he's done.
I mean, there's certainly no student that my wife has heard about more than Lewis Davis. There are probably no students that my kids know about apart from Lewis Davis, because I don't talk to them about other students, but they definitely know who he is.
Oh, it was difficult in school. Really, really, really difficult. I mean, actually, if you look at my attendance figures, I spent a lot of my time at home because of things that were happening at home.
I didn't doubt his ability, it was whether the wheels were going to fall off outside. There are rules that need to be followed, that you have an attendance policy, except when it doesn't work. And for Lewis, it didn't work.
I think I'd show little snippets of what I was capable of, and I think he focused on those and put faith in that, I suppose. He's either a genius or an idiot. There's no in between.
I felt at points that I'd almost staked my reputation on him. As a new teacher in a school, I didn't know any of his history teachers, I didn't know his English teachers to start with, and I was seemingly in their eyes giving him second and third and fourth chances, and I was saying it'll be okay, but I didn't have anything apart from my faith in him that it would work out.
We understood each other. It wasn't necessarily I had to go up to him and say, look, I've had a bad day. He just kind of knew because he took the time to know, I suppose.
My view has always been, if someone like Lewis can't achieve, then something is wrong with the education system. And so we needed to make sure that we could fit him into the way that stuff needs to work.
About a week before my exams, I said to him, I'm not doing my A-levels.
That for him, at that point, it was better to think, I've made the decision to not go to Oxford, than hold that aspiration and that dream for a bit longer, and then as he saw it at that point, have it crushed in August. That's all he could think about. He wanted to be in control of that decision. So
I ignored his calls. As I say, he kept ringing. And then there was the voicemail.
You always have that doubt when you've left a voice message, don't you? Did that make any sense whatsoever? And as I was trying to be like Mel Gibson in Braveheart and being really inspirational on the phone.
It wasn't fluffy.
I did say that is ridiculous, that you are throwing away the possibility of something amazing just for a short-term gain of feeling that you're in control of it. No, it seemed like it worked.
Well, I actually promised him, I said, right, I'll do these exams on one premise, and that's just for you. Like, if Mr. Jolly wasn't there, I absolutely would not have done my exams. No, I don't think he'll ever really know. I mean, I did used to try and tell him all the time.
I have a mug that says, you're a good egg. Dad, you're a good egg, as well. I mean, obviously that's weird, a student, but doing the things that a dad would do, I guess, yeah. But I hadn't considered it like that until the mug.
Yeah. In another life, maybe so.
I would always be there for Lewis, but I think that he's not a student in school anymore, so we can just get down to what blokes do when they're friends with each other, which is just be unpleasant to each other most of the time. So that's how it's going to be, I guess.
A friend said to me once, you're going to be out of this situation longer than you're in it. So I always thought that if I'm going to be out of this situation, I need to just do everything that I can to go where I can. So my goal was university, and every day I just thought, this is what I need to do.
She was quite surprised because I called her up to my desk and asked her about this particular piece of writing about a Christmas tree. I said, did you copy this from the internet at all? And when she explained that she hadn't, and I could see that she hadn't, I told her that it was an exceptional piece of writing, and that from that point on, I wasn't going to let up on her, and I was determined that she was capable of an A star. And Laura was just gobsmacked, I think, because she had no understanding of herself as being capable of that level.
She just always said that, you never meet the cut, you always exceed the cut.
But I was aware that at the age of 16 particularly, she was living on her own.
When I started to move into the hostel and that was where I was living, then it got really difficult. I don't want to sound like a sort of a millennial, but there was no Wi-Fi or signal, which means that I couldn't talk to anyone. There was no one there. And I mean that in sort of the absolute term of there was no one there. When I woke up, I got to go to school and I got to stay there. And she was there because she was just the nicest constant I could have. She never asked me the obvious things that everybody else was interested in. She sort of asked me about me and kept it about me.
She preferred me just to see the side of Laura that she wanted to present. And I totally respected that because I thought I want her to have the opportunity to be who she wants to be, not somebody who's defined by their background.
Little nuances in text, little things that we liked, little details that had nothing to do with going home at the end of the day, but everything to do with sort of about escaping what we had to go home to. In my case anyway, I'm sure that her children and her husband are lovely.
Publicly, daily, I would praise Laura's work in front of the rest of the class, which she found excruciating, but was necessary. It's just about making them believe that what you're telling them about themselves is more real than what they're seeing from other people in their peer groups.
I don't have any family to sort of, not to brag about me as if I should be bragged about, but it's nice when someone like that just sees your achievements and what you've done and wants to brag about you. I don't know, I like that feeling. Not in the way that I'm like conceited, I don't think I should be bragged about, but it's just nice to have someone that wants to talk about you.
I get my moral drive and my moral purpose from my parents, and the absolute faith and belief that they have put in me. Both of them fired themselves out of the backgrounds that were expected of them in order to achieve things that their families had never achieved before. These pupils, a lot of them don't have that at home, and so I try my best to make up for it.
They sent her what I wrote about her, and I thought that they wouldn't tell her that, so she said that she cried and that she showed it to her dad, and her dad cried. And I thought that was nice because her dad gets to see how much of an impact she's making on people, and he can brag about her as well.
Mr. Smith's role was just helping me weather the storm. There was a severe worry that I've got this offer, but I can't go to this university because of this immigration issue.
To see somebody who wants to do well and wants a good education, I have to do something here, but at the same time knowing that we are both having to rely on systems that we oftentimes have no control over. And so my role in that particular position was just to keep Michael motivated.
He sort of just frames it in a way whereby you feel like you can tackle and perhaps overcome that obstacle, and that's what was really special and very helpful. And that allowed me to then see things in a solution-based way and not in a panic, let's just give up way.
We could take opportunities collectively and where necessary, lean on others who could help Michael to achieve his goals.
Through the kindness of services and organisations and councils, raised the money that I needed to apply for my indefinite leave to remain and therefore be able to apply for student finance and come to uni.
An Oxford student, a University of Oxford student. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful achievement.
You're just thinking, what form of voodoo did this guy have that he just blows in the air and everyone's smiling and happy around it? But no, it's because he cares.
And I went to a school that was built in 1870. It's a school that was called Monroe College in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica. And it was built to school the children of slave masters. And I witnessed the power of education. I saw the power of education. Education is designed to be something that liberates. It's designed to be a passage, a journey that allows the individual to become a better version of themselves. It was an opportunity when I met Michael, where I could also share my own story and my own narrative, and recognizing that what I saw, similar to what teachers saw in me, was not the finished product.
I don't think he realized this at the time, and I don't think I realized it at the time, but he was very much like a dad. Apart from that, thank you, and I appreciate the effort that you put in.
My beloved egg. I
love you can't put into words how much
because you're going to inspire so many other people.
The impression you left
and I'm
on everyone in that school.
I always look forward to going into the classroom and having a
keeping up with me and my random instruments and my random questions.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.